firing up. Here we go. All right, folks, we are live. We are here with you. The Neil Soul Cypher Show, brought to you by the neilsoulcypher.com. So we're excited to have you guys with us tonight. We got a little different flavor for us tonight, so we're looking forward to introducing our new co-host with us tonight, filling in for the Q-Man. But first, we got to mention that we are so excited to have Jeff Bradshaw with us tonight. He is the incomparable trombonist extraordinaire, along with his social mission as well. So we're looking forward to talking to him very shortly. But in the meantime, in between time, let me introduce, for those of you who do not know, the incomparable and effervescent Regina.
I like that.
You like that? The incomparable and effervescent Regina is in the house.
Hey,
in the house. Now, I have to say, what's interesting tonight is that she is actually in the DF Dub. She is in the DF Dub here with me, not actually in Dallas, but she's in Fort Worth.
Oh, so he's lagging. I thought it was me.
So you hear I'm lagging? Oh, okay. I think you're getting it. You're lagging on your end, Regina, but that's all good.
It might be me because I was all day.
It's all good. It's all good.
Make sure I'm not having a face like, ooh.
No.
It didn't freeze, unfortunately.
You're looking good. You're looking good. So it's all good. But she's actually in DFW, and so she's been hanging out here for a little bit. Looking forward to hanging out with her more over the next few, I don't know, weeks, months, however long she's gonna be in town. So
I don't know.
We're looking forward to it. And then we also have the incomparable Torrance with us tonight. TP.
TRP, baby.
Yes, TRP. Mr. Tripp is with us tonight, and he's filling in for the Q-Man. Now, the Q-Man would have normally been here, and he's always here, but he's got something going on that's pretty major, and that's the only reason he's not here. He wanted us to make sure that we were very clear that it was only something major that would keep him from tonight. So, and we're gonna leave it up to him to kind of get into that a little bit later. But we're excited to have Mr. Tripp with us tonight. And Torrance, tell us a little bit about yourself, man, at a very high level.
All right,
I love to get there. Yeah,
music aficionado, a friend of our esteemed founder, that Alpha in Dallas, known as Straight to Rep, got me involved in this. I love music, right? I love music. I like the music industry. I like all varieties of music, neo soul, and classic hip hop. I joint. I'm a former brass player. Was never at a great level, but I'm really looking forward to our host in that regard. And that's enough about me. Let's get to the show. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. Now we got a little bit of an echo on your end, Torrance. Just a little bit. And I'm not sure if it's you or Regina, but I think it's you. A little bit of an echo. So I just want to mention that. But also, so one of the things we always try to do a little bit before we bring in our guests is kind of talk a little bit about what's kind of new and happening in the music scene and in the music industry. And we'd be remiss if we did not mention the Grammys that just happened this past Sunday. And so I got to throw it open to my crew here to kind of hear what you guys think about the Grammys. And, what did you think about kind of the show itself and then some of the awards? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Is the echo any better?
It was for a second.
I had it on mute. Let me figure it out while Regina goes.
Okay. Regina, did you get a chance to check out the Grammys?
I did not. I know. I know the winners or what have you, but I was a little disturbed, and I supported The Weeknd. I supported I don't know. I wasn't feeling it.
You weren't feeling it? Yeah. I mean, I think it got the lowest ratings of all time. And so I think a lot of people probably felt the same way you felt in terms of really not feeling the Grammys. And I'm not exactly sure, what the total reason was. why, but obviously a lot of people felt very similarly in terms of not really checking out the Grammys this year for whatever reason. I can tell you, I watched probably about 75% of it, and I thought, they did an admirable job, but it's just it's not the same experience when you're bringing in and porting in people, and then you're trying to do these kind of live performances as well, and so it wasn't necessarily a great experience. But I was happy to see one winner in particular, and that was my man Nas. My man Nas finally got his Grammy, and it was shocking to know that he did not have a Grammy before. And he won it for best rap album, which he should have gotten 20, 30 years ago, frankly. But it was great to hear and see my man Nas get his just rewards this past weekend.
So you guys watched it?
I've definitely watched it. Is that any better? Or it's the same?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay.
Definitely.
I definitely watched it. I'm with Regina. At first, I wasn't going to watch it because I felt what they did to The Weeknd was patently unfair. One of the biggest albums of all time during a pandemic, and he didn't even get nominated. I was also, so I'll go through my list of disappointments. I could air my grievances about the Grammys all day. I'm a Fiona Apple fan. I know it's not our demographic here, but she's phenomenal. Her album was one of the best of the year. It didn't even get nominated for Album of the Year. It did take 2 to 3 home. But in our area, there were some great takeaways, right? The performance by Roddy Ricch was actually really good to close the show out. The performance by Lil Baby was amazing. Like, I'm out of touch because I didn't know the song. Right? I went back and listened to the song. That song, the issue he did live with that audience, small as it was, is amazing. And one thing we got to keep an eye on, the Grammys may have not had that many live viewers, but they've had a few programs this year that have broken records over time because the way people are consuming now, similar to our podcast, they may not be here on the podcast at that time, but they watch it later at their leisure. So those performances are going to blow up. And nothing bigger than that one we didn't talk about, the Cardi B, your home state, Megan Thee Stallion, right?
Megan Thee Stallion, that's right.
Fox News, right? Like that made CNN. So everyone's going to watch that. They can call it what they want. It is what it is. But you've got sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So all of a sudden, everybody's offended because women are being objectified. They're saying this is what I'm doing. So, no, I enjoyed the program to the extent that I watched it. I would like to see a lot of stuff, obviously, but I've never been a great Grammys fan. So as that goes, as long as her is doing her thing, I'm good.
Yes, and she was, and I think she did win one award. I think one of her songs won for Song of the Year, which I'm really excited about, no doubt. And we would also be remiss if we did not mention that the Queen Bee did her thing in terms of becoming the most, rewarded Grammy nominee
ever.
Yeah. Now, was it just female or was it for all artists?
I think she was most female is what I think.
Okay.
She took it over from either Madonna or one of those other ones. But it was amazing. Yeah. It was good to see her. She got a Grammy again for the song with Megan. It was definitely a hot girl this year. Megan took a lot of it, but I Can't Breathe by her. We did an article on that. She's that's another good song. It's good to see this young generation doing that stuff like Lil Baby and her talking about these issues.
I'm so angry. I'm missing all these great conversations. So I must apologize to you guys because every now and then, not every now and then, it's like really often, it's pausing.
It is.
So I have to apologize to you guys, and I'm just missing all the conversation. I'm like trying to fill in the blanks. Like I thought they said this.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
You probably have an audio compression issue where you are with your Wi-Fi.
Probably. And I'm in an Airbnb, here in Texas somewhere.
Yeah. She's got a tough life. She's got a tough life.
Real tough life, right? Yeah.
Yeah. We're sorry about that, Regina. But feel free to dive in anytime you feel, don't feel hesitant because you can't hear everything. We understand, so just dive in and say what you need to say.
So I hope Jeff will forgive me too if I'm a little redundant or what have you. I can't really hear what's going on here, so I'm sorry.
All right. We feel you. We got you. We got you.
Okay.
We got to make sure that we hook you up next time. Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, speaking of Jeff, we're so excited to have him in. We're going to bring him in right now. Jeff Bradshaw, we are so excited to have you on the show, my man. How are you feeling today, my brother?
I'm good, man. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Philly's in the building. Philly's in the building.
Philly is in the building. I'm so glad you said that,
Always in the building.
I'm so glad you said Philly because, you know, when I was kind of learning a little bit more about you, man, I knew some good things about you already, but I got to understand that you're part of that whole, you know, Philly kind of neo soul type movement with the folks, and I just would love to hear a little bit about your background with that whole cadre of folks that came up from the roots to, you know, Jilly from Philly, everybody. I would love to hear it.
Well, it's crazy. First of all, thank you for having me. I started, man. I started playing. I was born and raised in Philly. Started playing. I came up playing instruments in a church called the United House of Prayer for All People, where the gospel brass bands are the musical feature of the music ministry. And my father taught me how to play trombone. I'm self-taught.
Are you serious?
Didn't go to music school.
Wow.
Didn't go to college. I was born with everything I needed. And then my father taught me how to play like old Negro spirituals and old gospel songs. And that's how I pretty much learned how to play trombone, man, in church. And then I started hanging out. Once I graduated high school, I started hanging out in the clubs in Philly. Clubs called Soul City, obviously the Black Lily, and hanging out in a lot of really cool places, Wilhelmina's. And when I met these 6 producers, Andre Harris, Vidal Davis, Carvin Higgins, Ivan Barrios, Keith Peltzer, Darren Henson. These were the in-house production staff at Jazzy Jeff's A Touch of Jazz Productions.
Yes.
Now, A Touch of Jazz Productions is the house that birthed Jill Scott, Floetry, and Music Soul Child.
Wow.
So, these guys are who are referred to as some of the architects of what we know now to be neo soul.
Absolutely.
Just for those 3 artists alone, they are major contributors and are 6 of many producers who are the architects of what we know to be neo soul. Then I went on to meet Amir Questlove Thompson, you know, Questlove from the Roots.
Yeah, absolutely.
And James Poyser. James Poyser's name should be pretty well known in Dallas because I think he pretty much produced almost every Erykah Badu album. He produced almost every Erykah Badu album, and also James Poyser and Questlove were the ones who called me in the studio to play on this album with this girl named Erica.
Wow.
To play on this song called put horn arrangements on this song called Other Side of the Game. In 1995 or 1996. And you know, just playing on Jill's records, playing on Music Soul Child's records, playing on Floetry albums, playing Floetry records, playing on Badu's album, playing on Roots records. Back then, we also were going from the club to the studio, from the studio back to the Black Lily, back to Wilhelmina's, back to Tip Cities. And so I was not only just a part of the production part of it, making those records at that time, at the beginning, but I was also a part of the building of the Philly music scene as well, in as far as the club scene is concerned. And then I went on to be the musical director for Floetry for 5 years.
Wow.
to tour with Jill Scott for 15 years.
Wow.
And to obviously to tour with, from then on, I had many relationships. I became the guy who did the horns on Jill Scott's album. So then to producers, I was early on. I was like, Jeff Bradshaw, Jeff Bradshaw, the guy who did the horns on Jill Scott Music Soul Child album.
Yeah.
Erica Badu, and I was like, oh. So now we get calls to do other things. And Dre and Marcia called me to do the horns on Butterflies. And then I did the horns on Butterflies. So you hear the horns on Butterflies with Michael Jackson. That's me. That's me. And then, then I went on to record with Mary J. Blige and Kurt Franklin and many Faith Evans, so many artists, man. I can't name Mary. I mean, so many artists. The Roots. I recorded with so many artists and toured with so many artists over this 26-year career in the music business. But coming up in the Philly Soul scene, man, was awesome. I don't think we knew that we were creating or creating a groundbreaking a style or a genre of music.
Right.
We were just
creating what I missed that.
No, he said he didn't realize that he was creating a whole new genre almost, or a style of music. Yeah.
We didn't know. We didn't know that's what we didn't know we were creating a whole new genre of music. I think we were just being creative, and Jazzy Jeff allowed these incredible producers that have gone on to win more and more Grammys. I think Andre Harris just won another Grammy or two at this past Grammys as a producer, writer. We were just playing what felt right, what was real, and it was just an amazing time to be a part of something so special. We knew it was special. I don't know if we knew it was that special. I don't know if we knew it was, legendary, defining special.
Right.
But we knew it was good.
Right.
We knew what we were doing, what hadn't been done, and what's being done. We knew that, and us being from Philly, we know we were putting that Philly thing on it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Philly obviously has a long history in the music business, from the 50s and the 60s, but you guys brought it to a whole new level. Because I'll be honest with you, I am incredibly passionate about neo soul, and to hear your intersection and with all of these foundational artists, man, it is absolutely amazing. So you are a true architect. You are a true architect, my brother. And we appreciate what you bring to the table, no doubt about it.
Thank you.
Now, one of the things that we talk about here in Neo Soul Cypher, as the name might imply, is this intersection between neo soul and hip hop, and classic hip hop in particular. And the fact that you talked to me a little bit about the fact that this was all coming out the Jazzy Jeff Studios, man. I would love to hear about how you guys thought about that intersection between kind of hip hop and this kind of new brand of soul music that you guys were bringing to the fore. Did you talk about it? I mean, what did Jazzy Jeff mention it, or was there any sort of influence? I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
Well, we're all lovers of great hip hop, classic hip hop. We're all lovers of hip hop. And I think subconsciously the music hit hard. Subconsciously the music hit hard. I think a lot of those records had great drums because Vidal and Dre were drummers.
Right.
So a lot of the Jill Scott stuff,
right,
like Long Walk and Honey Molasses, and, a lot of the songs you can hear that, they're drum heavy. But I think subconsciously, the stuff just hit. It had like some low end to it, and it had some boom back to it, because that subconsciously we're all lovers of hip hop, classic, conscious. We're all lovers of real hip hop and real beats and real lyrics, lyrical content, music with lyrical content, so that when they produce these records and these incredible artists, they're all wordsmith. So Marcia and Natalie are great writers. Those songs, every song they wrote has every song they wrote has meaning and strong lyrical content and storyline, and even with music. And music wrote wrote some of that stuff. Carvin Higgins wrote a lot of that stuff. Carvin Higgins co-wrote with music and wrote a lot of those singles by music. Carvin Higgins, great songwriter. He was a part of that crew. All of that music, and obviously Jill is a complete wordsmith.
Yeah,
she is, one of the, I feel like, one of the greatest writers in soul music. And if you listen to her lyrical content and how clever she is with her wordplay, because she's a poet,
right?
And because she's a poet, those words and her clever commentary, and storyline, and the way she uses words is masterful, because she is a master poet. She's a master poet. She's a master poet, and so that makes her a great writer. None of us really knew she could sing.
Oh my God,
we didn't know she could sing, and just like Marcia and Natalie. Marcia is a great songwriter and songstress, but Natalie was a champion poet. She was a champion poet. So their songs, all of the three of those artists, the lyrical content of that music rings true even now today, as it did the first day. All of those songs, you listen to any one of those songs by any one of those artists, you can randomly pick any song, and all of the songs have strong lyrical content, melody, and they're just amazing writers, man. And so to put them together with these incredible young producers, who just had this fresh outlook and pulling records out the crates and grabbing ideas from their heads, grabbing ideas out of the crates on these old soul records and old hip hop records and old classical records. And I remember Ivan, one of the producers, because they were partners. There are three teams. There's Dre and Vidal, Ivan and Carvin, and Keith and Darren. So there's you got the three teams. So so you have Ivan and Carvin. Ivan pulled out this album and was playing this music, this beautiful orchestral music. And I don't remember what album it was. And it was just like, and he said,
music.
Can you recreate that? And I looked at my boy, my right-hand man, trumpet player by the name of Matt Cappy, who played on every hit record I've ever played on and every major album I've ever played on. I was like, yeah, we can do that. Bone and trumpet. And Matt used about 3 different mutes, and I used a couple mutes. And so when you hear Half Crazy, and you hear the we recreated this amazing, beautiful orchestral song that Ivan pulled out of the crate. So the creative process was so awesome. And even to this day, working with them, and anytime I get a chance to get in the studio with them, it's just always an amazing thing, because I know they're going to come up with a crazy idea, and they're going to let me do what I do and bring my ideas to the table. So those processes, working with them and working with great producers, is always a good time.
No, the incredible story. I mean, we're gonna have to save this video right here, because this is history. What you dropped some serious history on us, music history of the nth degree, and we love it, man. But with that said, we want to make sure that we also get to love and let everyone else get to love your song Prototype. So we're gonna fire up Prototype right here, and as soon as this is over, we're gonna want you to talk to us a little bit about Prototype and your collaborators, because you got some serious folks. Oh, we lost it. What's going on? Let's fire back up. All right.
Must be my lucky day, baby. We could do something not ordinary. Get your man and me, baby. You are the prototype. I think I'm in love. I'm in love, baby. I'm in love.
Lost audio though, right?
Okay. Is that it?
No. Let the day go return. I think I'm on the right track now.
Come on.
I'm in love. You are tight. You're growing tight. I think I'm in love. Girl, you are so tight. I think I'm in love. Yeah. Oh, Lord. Yeah, I'm in love. I think I'm in
Man, that is beautiful. That is absolutely a beautiful song. Just completely melodic and rich. Yeah, I mean, basically, you're using your horn as like a vocalist there, man.
That's the way I was taught.
Yeah,
that's the way I was taught, man. That's the way I was taught. My father taught me. You know? My father taught me to play that way. He taught me to play the words of songs.
Okay.
He taught me to play them, you know.
Those counter melodies were coming through strong, bro.
Thank you.
They were coming through strong.
Can you hear me at all?
Yes, we can hear you.
Because for me, everything is in and out, and I know I'm talking to all dudes, and that's very uncomfortable. But it's sort of like you're in that position, like don't stop. Oh my god, and so I'm like totally thrown off because I'm like hearing and it's in and out. It's just messing up my vibe.
That's all good. It's all good.
It's not all good.
It's all good.
It's not good. I'm so mad. But yeah, I heard all the talking back and forth. That's what music is like. And I know we've interviewed before, but with most people, often, rather, should I say, people listen to the vocalist, and that's very sad. It's good, but it's sad because music is so magic, and there's nothing like having live musicians there to listen. The music is magic above the vocalist. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, and I missed it. I was like, I'm sorry.
That's all good. It's all good.
Internet is like, oh.
It's all good because the reality is you're going to be able to listen to this and you're going to be able to hear this. It's a beautiful song in every single way. But that gets us to the musicians. That gets us to the point about the whole trombone. So tell us a little bit about the selection of that particular instrument, and how that is kind of different for you, because obviously trombones have had a little bit of a different history in kind of the world of music. But I'd love to hear kind of the trombone origin story.
Well, basically, I guess I touched on it a little earlier. Born and raised in the church I was in, my father, these were gospel brass bands. That were, it's kind of like combining church and a New Orleans brass band together. Just imagine church and there's a New Orleans brass band in church.
Right, because you play with Trombone Shorty, correct?
Trombone Shorty is on my last two albums, yes.
My internet.
Yeah, he's on the first song on my new album, this new album called War and Thunder. I kicked the album off with him.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But the way I was taught basically to sing through the horn, not just warm tones and melodies, but to actually play the words of the songs. So my style. So I didn't learn the way a typical trombone player would learn, which is to learn the 7 positions on the horn. You know, 7 positions on the trombone. Obviously, I learned that. And learn a lot of things about music and about the horn and chord structures and chord changes and all of those things. But the way I was taught was to play Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saves the race like me. Like, that's the way I was taught to play the trombone.
I gotta ask.
So I take that. And I approach every song. If I'm playing All I Do, like All I Do, or All I Do by Stevie Wonder, or if I'm playing I Want It, You're the One, You Are the Prototype. I play every word of the chorus with Raheem. If you listen to the song, I play every word exactly with him. I mirror every word he sings in the verses and the choruses.
So where is it? Is it near? Do you want to play us something?
He just played it. Oh, you could hear it. You
gotta be kidding me. Did you not just play the trombone? I didn't miss that, did I?
No, you didn't. You didn't.
No. But that's how I learned. So that's the way I've learned to play.
Okay.
As a singer.
Yeah.
So I'm a singer trapped into playing, singing through the trombone.
That's a perfect description.
See,
Man.
you ain't trapped. You're not trapped. You just have a double gift. That's not a trap. That's a double gift.
It's beautiful. It's
That's a yep. No, you're not trapped. No.
definitely love that sound of yours. I was trying to hone in on what those influences were, right? So, my brother was a trombone player in a funk band back in the 70s. And so I grew up listening to him, and I dabbled in trombone for a little bit myself. I was a low brass player, that being the high end of my brass range, right? But I'm listening to how your glissandos were and your vibrato, and I'm wondering, was Tower of Power an influence at all in your life as a shorty?
Of course.
Okay.
I love all amazing funk music. For me, it's James Brown and the JBs and everybody else. It's James Brown's Confunction, the Ohio Players, man. Earth, Wind and Fire. It's just incredible music that has this incredible brass accompaniment. And these bands weren't just like funk kind of groove things. If you listen to those Ohio Player albums, these were real accomplished musicians. That music and the orchestration and the arrangements of those, you listen to those early Ohio Player records and all those old Earth, Wind and Fire records, these guys were virtuosos. These arrangers and players were virtuosos. They weren't just, funk guys playing. They were playing like incredible music. If you listen to the intro, speaking of Tower of Power, if you listen to the intro of Still a Young Man.
Oh, yeah.
These are beautiful. Exactly. These are great songs. So they're all great musicians, great arrangers, and that's why I love funk and soul music, because even soul music, which Tower of Power was both.
Oh, yeah.
They were a funk and soul band. And James Brown was just James Brown's band, and my favorite trombone player next to my dad. My father played trombone, by the way.
Okay.
Okay.
My number one instrument, my number one inspiration to play trombone was the late Norman Bradshaw, who put the horn in my hand. But, but Fred Wesley was always been number two, and I've always been compared to Fred Wesley throughout my career.
High praise.
People, the phrasing and the sound, and the fatness.
Do you see it?
Yeah. Then
do you see it? Do you hear it?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
You said you got to meet.
So
you
Regina,
were saying you got to meet.
Oh, I got to meet. I finally got to meet Fred Wesley, the great Fred Wesley. For people that don't know who Fred Wesley is the great trombone player and arranger for James Brown for about 4 to 5 years, and he's the trombone solo on Funky Good Time. That's Fred Wesley. And then hip hop took that solo. Kwame took that solo on Only You. Kwame took that solo, sped it up, and put it on his song Only You. And Fred Wesley's that solo has been put on about 2 or 3, maybe 4, about 2 or 3 hip hop songs. Maybe probably more than that. Just Fred alone, his trombone playing, and James Brown trusted him with doing the arrangements for the band as well. But then Fred Wesley went on to be, once he left James Brown, and he went on to be Fred Wesley and the JBs.
Did not know this.
He went on to be Fred Wesley and the JBs, and he also, when people say, how do you feel about being like the first trombone like artist to have, hit songs on R&B radio? And I was like, I tell them, I'm not the first trombone player to have a chart-topping R&B song on R&B radio. Fred Wesley had a song, a hit song on R&B radio called House Party.
Wow.
It was a really dope groove.
So how do you feel about being the most well-known, though?
I don't think I'm the most well-known trombone. I think Fred Wesley.
Am I still lagging?
I think he'll always be. He's an icon, you know. And
Yes.
But I plan on being greater. I plan on being more of a household name because that's what the legends want. Our mentors, he's a distant mentor. Our mentors, our teachers, the master teachers, the legends, they teach us so we can go beyond where they went. So we can go beyond. So we can strive to be greater than them. So it is my goal for 20, 30 years from now, for people to say Jeff Bradshaw is the greatest like mainstream trombone artist or the greatest artist on plays trombone ever. Like that's what they want. They teach us and give us advice and mentor us so that we can go beyond where they went. Absolutely. And with modern technology and social media, streaming and all of that, but we also have a responsibility. Myself, Trombone Shorty, who's from New Orleans, who is a rock star, who's in a completely different genre of music. He has the whole of New Orleans on his shoulders, and he carries New Orleans with him wherever he goes. Jeff Bradshaw carries Philly, the Illedelphia, on my shoulders.
Yeah,
everywhere I go, all over the world.
Yeah,
because I'm a product of the Philly legendary music scene, and I wear that banner, or I wear that sash or a cape, everywhere I go. I make sure people know I am born and bred in this rich soil in Philadelphia, where great music of every genre comes from.
That's true. You guys got it unlocked in so many different areas, no doubt about it. Now, one word that you mentioned was responsibility. And again, I think we would be remiss if we did not mention the fact that you were awarded by the NAACP an Image Award in conjunction with not only your music, but your activism. So talk to us a little bit about kind of your activism and your approach to merging your music with your passion to help the masses as well.
Last summer, I sat at home during this treacherous plague upon this earth, and I sat and watched online and on television like we all did. I watched George Floyd. I watched all 8 minutes and 46 seconds. I watched a man die before my eyes. But not only did I watch a man die before my eyes, I watched a man murdered. I watched a man murdered in front of my eyes. And it did something to me. I watched Eric Garner die. But I watched George Floyd die, but I watched him die like an animal. I watched him on the ground like a man who just shot a deer and put his knee on a deer and held it down until it died. And George Floyd was not an animal. He was a man. He was a father. He was a son. He was a brother and a nephew. He was a man. He was a human being. He was a black man. And I am a father, a nephew, a son, a brother, an uncle. And that could have been me. I saw myself in George Floyd. And although we lost many other young people, to unnecessary force. I have family, friends, colleagues, cigar buddies, people I play golf with, people I smoke cigars with, that are in law enforcement. I believe in good law enforcement. I was born and raised in the Cambridge Mall housing project, one of the roughest housing projects in North Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
The police officers in our neighborhood that I grew up with in the projects, they knew us. They knew our names. They knew our parents. They knew what schools we went to. They knew what church I went to. They knew us.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what we have now.
Right.
We don't have that now. And that's what we have to get back to.
Yeah.
And so watching George Floyd die the way he did, for me, I felt like I could no longer sit home and hide from this pandemic. I felt like I needed to get in the street and do something. I knew it wasn't really marching. I knew it was bigger than that. It had to be more than marching. I needed to use some kind of way, figure out a way to use my celebrity, to use my reputation, my name, my face, my body,
Mm-hmm.
and my gift. And so I sat with a good friend of mine named Randy Robinson, and we were talking about it. And I said, Randy, I got to do something. Maybe I can gather horn players, gather musicians in a place, and we can all come together of every ethnic background, race, and creed. And we can all come together and figure out some kind of way to come together and just play music to heal this world. So I figured it out. I said, well, at the art museum in Philadelphia, and I'm not sure if you know about Philadelphia, but you know the Rocky Steps.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Everybody knows the steps.
I'm from Jersey. From Jersey, man. That's
okay.
Right.
So that's the Philadelphia Museum of Art, the Philadelphia Art Museum. I said, well, I'm going to call every musician I know on the phone, via email, via text, and via social media, and I'm going to get everybody together, and we're going to gather. I'm going to pick a day, and we're going to gather. But I'm only calling horn players because I wanted this to be like the trumpets and the brass playing down from heaven. I wanted it to be a sound of horns,
right?
Like trumpet sounds, like And so I call my friend Sam Gellerstein, who's a tuba player and a trumpet player. I call my friend Trey Gilbert, a touring drummer who tours with many different artists. And I said, call every horn player you know. I'm gonna call everybody I know. I'm gonna get on social media. I'm gonna send press release to all the news stations. And I said, and we're gonna gather. But then I was asking my friend Randy, I said, I have to call it something. I have to give this movement a name. And right out of his mouth, he said, a clarion call for justice. Right from the Bible. A clarion call for justice. And that's what we called it. We all met. It was about 75 to 80 horn players, jazz players, wedding band players, guys that played in church. We had people from the Philadelphia Orchestra, people from the West Philadelphia Orchestra. We had people from Baltimore, D.C., Delaware, New York, New Jersey. We had a girl, her name is Kayla. She plays baritone sax. A little white girl named Kayla, who came from Utah.
Wow.
No, not Utah. Her parents, her mother drove her from Wheeling, West Virginia.
Okay.
Her name was Kayla.
Okay.
With this big little girl with this big horn. And we were like, we looked like how I believe that heaven's going to look like. How it isn't going to be just one race of people. We look like the people that were all over the world protesting and marching in the streets. That's what we look like. We look like a beautiful bed of flowers, because this wasn't to me, it was more than a black issue, which it is. It looked more to me than that.
Right.
It was a human issue. He was a human being, somebody's father, somebody's son. And I was like, we have to get together, and we're not going to stand for this. We're going to come together. And we got on social media. All the news outlets came out, all the TV cameras, and that was fine.
Yeah.
And all the musicians came out, 70, 80 horn players. You can look on my page, you can Google Clarion Conferences, and you can just see. If you go to Instagram to @Clarion Call for Justice, and just look at the page and see the people and see the sea of musicians.
Yeah.
And we went from Philly to New York to Washington Square Park in New York to Black Lives Matter Plaza in DC.
Mm-hmm.
And we played music to the high heavens. We came together, we sang, we cried, we hugged, we chanted, and we did our job.
Mm-hmm.
And our job was to make sure that we're not going to go quietly into the night. We are going to stand for what's right. What was done to him was wrong. What's done to many people, many young African Americans that were murdered, unnecessarily loss of life because of bad policing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I had to say about that. That's what we did, and people thought it was a great thing. I did it not for acclaim, or I did it because it was the right thing to do. Right. I did it because when I asked my parents, when they shot Dr. King, where were you? What did you do? So when my grandchildren, if I'm ever blessed to have grandchildren, I have 5 beautiful children. Mm-hmm. If I'm ever blessed to have grandchildren, and my grandchildren say, Papa, I was reading up on history, and we were reading today about this man named George Floyd that was killed by the police. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. I'm going to say, yeah, I did. I remember that. Well, Papa, what did you do? Where were you? I can sit and tell my grandchildren that I put my shoes on, I got on the phone, I called my friends, I called all my musician friends, and we got in the street, and we raised hell through music.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
I love it, man. And I'm just so glad that you told us that story, man, and in the way that you told it to us as well. And the fact that this is going to be in a video and an audio repository so that people can hear the story in the way that you told it. So I'm so excited to be able to make sure that everyone can hear what you just said and again, how you said it. So we appreciate that. Now, normally we try to do 2 songs, man, but you inspired us without even doing another song, my brother. So I appreciate you on that. But I would be remiss if we didn't give you some more pub on your whole album, though. Stronger. I mean, please tell us a little bit about that album and then tell us how we can get it and how people can find you.
This is what I want people to know. This is my 4th album, my 3rd studio album. My last album, my live album, had many, many great artists. You can look it up. It's called Jeff Bradshaw and Friends. This album is called Stronger. If you look at the album cover is me draped in the American flag with I Can't Breathe coming out of my bell and my horn. Mm-hmm. This album was very important to me. It features Trombone Shorty, Robert Glasper, Raheem DeVaughn, I think I said Marcia Ambrosius.
Absolutely.
The lead singer for Moonchild, Amber Jean, Glenn Lewis from Toronto, Frank McComb, Kanye Doss. That's right, Robert Glasper just won another Grammy.
He sure did.
Christian McBride, James Poison. Christian McBride just won another Grammy a couple of days ago. Christian McBride, James Poison, DJ Jazzy Jeff, Jeff Morrell, Paula Champion. I mean, Lynn Roundtree, Marquel Jordan. This album is action-packed. It's a very, very powerful piece that I birthed. I'm very proud of it. To be honored, to be nominated for Outstanding Jazz Album Vocal by the NAACP Image Awards. I'm so honored to be for Best Jazz Album Vocal. And I hope I don't record albums to win awards. I record albums to touch and heal people, to make people feel better, to make
Right.
people dance, to inspire young that are coming behind me.
Right.
Build a legacy for my family, to build a legacy for my children, that they can see good in the world. That's why. You can find me all over social media, on every social media platforms at I am Jeff Bradshaw. At I am Bradshaw, all social media. I just finished the City Southern Celebration Tour, celebrating this NAACP Image Award nomination. I just played Atlanta, Charlotte, Birmingham, and Pensacola, Florida. I'm headlining double weekend celebration here in Florida this weekend, and hopefully next weekend I can hoist up a virtual.
Okay. We're having a little. Are you still there, Jeff?
So it's not just me. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
It's like the sentence is in and out, and I can't.
Yeah. Oh, hold on 1 second. Are you back with us, Jeff? Okay. Yeah. All right. Excellent, man. We appreciate you joining us, man. Absolutely amazing.
Can we ask one part? You were talking about a virtual tour. Did you mention a virtual tour before, or you were saying something and you went out?
I just came off of a socially distanced Southern celebration tour, celebrating this Image Award nomination, where I went to Atlanta, Charlotte, Birmingham, and Pensacola, Florida, and then I'm celebrating in Philly this weekend, a sold out show weekend. And hopefully, if God bless and I win this award, I'm definitely going to dedicate this award to the ones that we've lost to unnecessary violence, but also the family members and friends that we've lost in this horrible pandemic. I hope everybody streams all of my music. I have 4 albums. Just put in Jeff Bradshaw. My albums are available everywhere: Tidal, iTunes, Deezer, Amazon, Apple Music. Just put in Jeff Bradshaw. But my new album, Stronger, please download it, support it. It's amazing music. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, so much for having me.
No, thank you, man. I mean, you just made history tonight, right? So we're going to make sure that everybody hears this, because what you just blessed us with in just terms of music history is so rich and so deep, and it's just so resonating, man. We appreciate you. And we look forward to everything that you have done already and what you're going to do, man. And so we're looking forward to being able to trumpet what you do in every single way. And so we're looking forward to being able to just promote Jeff Bradshaw as much as we can, because this brother is incredibly talented from a music perspective, but the way that you are a leader from a social perspective as well, got to give you major props, major props. So thanks so much, my brother. We will be in touch with you, and we just really appreciate you joining us tonight. I can't hear you guys. All right. All right, my brother. All right.
It's so frustrating.
All right.
But thank you for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
All right. All right.
Oh, it's so frustrating.
Gina, it's okay, Gina. It's okay.
No, I want to hear everything, and everything was so interesting, and it's like, but and there's nothing. And I'm getting so frustrated over here.
I can tell.
Oh,
yeah.
Music is magic, and there are many times during the past few years, I'm like, where's Bob Marley? Where's the next Bob Marley? Where's the next James Brown? Where's the next Marvin Gaye? Where's the musician that's going to bring us? Because music is magic, and music can make you feel so many different doggone things.
Yeah.
And I'm listening to him, and then it's like, and then I can't hear anything. So like. Yeah.
It's all good. So you're gonna have to go back and listen to the whole program, because then you're gonna be able to hear everything he said. I mean, although he did kind of crack up a little bit at the end. We had some audio issues at the end. But
perhaps there's storms going on out here or something. I don't know.
No, I just think you got an internet compression issue. We got to make sure that next week.
Disappointed.
You got to make sure the next week that you're on that we
I won't be here. I'm in Airbnb. I won't be here next week. So
Well, you have to come
I
out.
apologize.
You'll have to do the show from here. You got to do the show from here then.
Hey, perhaps.
Yeah.
Taurus, where are you?
Are you gonna be in Dallas next week?
I don't know where I'm going to be next week.
See,
I might
that's
be on Mars. Are they going to open up? Can I afford Mars? I might be there. You're in Florida, right?
Fort Lauderdale, come on through.
Hey, heck, I can do that too. I don't care. I'm living my best life.
That you are. That you are. That you are. So we're coming up on the top of the hour, but I do want to just briefly, first of all, thank you, Torrance, for joining us tonight, man, and spicing things up for us.
That dude's magic, man. He is neo soul.
Yeah.
I could talk to him another 3 hours. Like, just
no doubt, no doubt.
And it's not just he's dropping things; he was part of that.
Yeah, I mean, literally, he just gave us an oral history of kind of the origin of neo soul, and so we gotta thank him for that. Not to mention though, but the incredible talent as a trombonist, man.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? Like, come on.
Yeah. So this particular show is going to be archived on our site, so folks can go back and take a look at it and take a listen to it. So we're excited about that. And speaking of that, we want to make sure that people get to neosoulcypher.com, check it out, leave us your emails, leave us your phone numbers. We're going to be launching a newsletter very shortly, come April, where we're going to really start to aggregate all of our content, make it a little bit more tasty and bite-sized pieces for people. And so we're excited about making that happen.
Perhaps they can give us, hey guys, if you guys have some suggestions of what you want to see, or what you want to read of, or what have you, let us know.
Absolutely.
What you think?
Just give us a holler. We would appreciate it.
Take from the audience. What you guys need, let us know.
Absolutely. And thank you again, Regina.
I'm lagging.
Appreciate you, Regina. And one last thank you to our man Jeff Bradshaw. You truly blessed us tonight, my brother, and we thank you, and we look forward to connecting with you very soon. Next week we have a wonderful artist out of the UK. She's going to be joining us, and I want to make sure I pronounce it right. It's Yoji. I believe it's Yoji, and so she's got some neo soul chops as well. So we're looking forward to having her on the show. All right, everybody, we appreciate you. Be well, and we'll talk to you very soon. Later.